Hey everybody, Big Chonis here, coming to you Monday, November 30th. We have just closed out a massive monthly candle, historic Bitcoin price action, epic move over the entire month. Every little dip was a buying opportunity, and on the last day of the month, we actually put in the all-time high break. Now, we're talking all-time high break based on the highs of our 2017 bull market, 19666. I'm on. This is the a Bitstamp here. 19864. Other exchanges, we clearly were able to break our 2017 highs by a couple $100, and obviously, what makes this month so much different than the 2017 month is there's no upper wick. Little teensy upper wick here, but negligible. Now the reason I'm on the BitTip exchange because I have more history all the way back to 2011 here, and from a linear perspective, it's quite amazing this month here and really the past 2 months combined. When we go to log scale, we can really kind of see where we are in this defined Bitcoin space here. Now, we've had several occurrences where we are bullish for many, many months on ends. Occasionally, we'll get that indecision candle, a red candle, a quiet price action, consolidation. But when Bitcoin wants to rip out, it rips out. Now, historically speaking, from a monthly standpoint, January of 2013, right after a decent consolidation here at Bitcoin around $12, we ripped hard for 1, 2, 3, and by the end of our fourth month, we went from $13 all the way up to $244. Now, a move like that of 5,000%, okay, was truly epic. But what was even more epic was that wasn't where it was done. Even with that crazy candle there, where we actually pulled back from $244 to $46, which was a tremendous drop. If you think about it, right? We go up 5,000%, and we give back 80+% of that. But it was a buying opportunity with a couple months of consolidation, and then we actually extended. So until our official bear market of 2014 and 2015 occurred, and by bear market, that was able to basically break the parabola, if you will. That run of Bitcoin, from let's call it $5, all the way up here to $1,000, a 20,000% move, right? All on a clean monthly scale of a rip up consolidation for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that little tight doji there. There was the fake out break, and then once that candle closed, off we were. What preceded that, though, was almost 2 years of downward pressure and then eventual consolidation that led to our next bull run, which basically started from September of 15 all the way to December of 2017, and ended approximately 3 years ago this month. And a similar situation where all the dips from a monthly candle perspective, right, a monthly candle perspective, were buying opportunities. Sometimes it was 2 months. Sometimes, well, actually, it was one time we had two back-to-back red months there, and then every other time was green. Little, tight move there. And you notice of those tight moves and our red pullbacks, we came all the way back. We came all the way back to the breakout area with just a slightly higher high. We go from 446 to 800, came all the way back to 450. There were 460 there, right? Ripped higher. We've got as high as $1,100, and then when we did that, we fell almost 30% there. We got as high as $1,300, and we fell as high as 30% plus there. But every time it was a buying opportunity, especially this one from 5,000 to 3,000. That 30% move. But this was years in the making. and a run that took us from, $250, let's just say, to $20,000 in the span of the entire cycle move. Another 8,000% move, if you will. And thusly, when we do have these moves, we got pullbacks of 83%. And then we had our mini parabola here with, once again, another pullback, which was a 300% move there. Yep, 300% move. With a pullback of that move of 70%. So the point being, while Bitcoin has been bullish forever, literally, it's never not been bullish from a relative basis. But even in those moves, we see retracements that quickly really negate the bullishness of the past month or the past 2 months, only to test that, to wash out a bunch of longs, and then regain the support and continue on its journey. The reason I'm bringing this up and talking about this specifically is we're trying to quantify where we are exactly on the history, right? The tree rings of Bitcoin. We talk about fractals. We talk about, well, this is what happened then, and this is what happened then, and then we know even if this happens, there's still big pullbacks and big pullbacks and big pullbacks. But overall, buy and hold, dollar cost average, and there you go. So we're trying to quantify as we start the last month of the year, and we have a monthly candle that looks like the way it did, and we have a yearly candle that looks like the way it does, right? Got 31 days left in this monthly candle here. How is this going to end, right? Our biggest bullish months, right? Green candle still had some sort of an upper wick. Okay, remember this one here, our 2017 candle. It looks small, right? But that was almost a $5,000 wick. And our 2013 candle looks small, but that was also almost a 30% wick there. So even our most bullish years, we don't close, historically speaking, at the top of the candle. Doesn't mean we can't continue the next year with a very strong upthrust. We saw that basically from 2012 to 2013. We also saw that from 2016, and then 2017 was the big move there. So we've put in our biggest, I don't know if it's our biggest monthly candle. I guess maybe in terms of in what? I mean, it's not. Is it in percentage? This one, yeah, that one, yeah. Of course, it can't be a percentage thing because that one was like 400%. And this one was like what, like 40%. But just an amazing feat. Now, where are we in the old spectrum? Before I get into that, please hit that thumbs up button if you enjoy my content. This is Big Chonis. Call me on Twitter at Big Chonis. If you haven't yet had a chance to take advantage of my 50th, 1000th Twitter follower sign up that I've coordinated with BingBon, the place where I do my leverage trading. With a $100 deposit, they'll do a $100 match of USDT as long as you do at least one trade. And that's the site I trade on. Lots of pairs there. Notice nothing, even with our bullishness here, there's nothing over 10% in our move. Everything is in the green here, okay? And we basically have, looks like LTC, Bitcoin, BCH, EOS are in there, are 6%. Yeah, it looks like LTC is probably the biggest percentage mover over the past 24 hours. But kind of slow and steady here. Nothing is really diverging, and the crypto market kind of as a whole has been very strong as we close out our month here. But look where we are in our Bollinger Bands. Can we go back to linear scale here? Okay. Now we have history where we closed outside our upper Bollinger Band on the monthly for sure. But look at the width we're at here. I mean, the width is huge. We are almost equaling our spread of here, and we close this far out. Now, upper Bollinger support, which I have to argue is probably now the more meaningful support on the monthly, puts us at the top of our January of 18 candle at around 17.5. And that, to me, would be an area that would be touched as support, which was previous major resistance. So now that we're so far above all these supports, we can extrapolate, okay, at some point there's going to be an opportunity if you want to get back in, if you miss your opportunity, if you felt to buy Bitcoin, if you felt like, all right, this is another chance to scoop up cheaper Bitcoin than we currently are. It's kind of irrelevant talking about all these lower areas of major support. We've seen every dip get bought up, so how can you possibly talk about, areas now that we bounced so hard over 16K, right? Does it even make sense to talk about areas of support now that were so much higher than where we were, and that the fact that this dip here got bought up so strong over the past few days here to put in this higher high, right? But we know that from a daily chart perspective, and again, another amazing daily candle as well, hard to really argue with that, we can see we are still way above all of our, MAs here, but I want to talk about our EMAs. I'm a big fan of using my EMA 12 and 26. It's how I generally juice some of my scalp trading, mostly although obviously on lower time frames. But what we're talking about here is this is the first time that our EMA 12 has been touched as support, and it's held perfectly. And whenever we get their first touch of that EMA 26 support, tends to hold, especially this length of time we haven't touched it, and our overall spread of our EMAs. Because of that, the double touch, especially the back test there, was very strong support, and up we went. And what we went to regain our EMA 12 support. So it's kind of like this never really happened. Kind of like any chance of our bear cross, okay, in our EMAs was not let to play out. I think it's so cool to watch on the 12-hour, where it did appear like we were going to put in our first bear cross in our 12-hour, because even our 12-hour, right? It's been since October 8th since we actually did our official bull cross here and expanded our EMA significantly higher there. So we've still saved the bull cross. We are still in bull cross, right? As low as our 12-hour. But when we get to our 6-hour, we can see that we actually did officially do a bear cross in our 6-hour, and that is the first time we did that again since October 8th. We had a lot of close calls. You can kind of see it there a little better, right? We held it, we broke it. Now we've regained it, right? That's good. I like the regain. Okay. Now we want to see this regain and expand. If we lose this again, it's not gonna regain, in my opinion, at least on this continuous move of dip buying to a higher high. Now, we still got lots of running room because we still have to break the supports around 18.5, and we have to put several 6-hour candles below that area. We basically have to hover into at least the 1700s for these to come back around here and bearishly cross. And if that were going to happen, I'd be leaning much more bearishly on the overall market, because what that will basically show is that you are losing the momentum, which you do first on lower time frame, right, charts, and then they goes to higher time frame charts. So we lost it in the 4, we lost it in the 1, well, the 1, the 4, the 6, right? But we regained them back. We haven't lost in the 12. The daily's fine, and then the higher time frames got plenty of running room as well. Notice the 3-day touched exactly on the EMA 12 there. So I'm giving you this perspective about when is bearish. What kind of signs will we basically tell this could potentially be rolling over? These are the things we are looking for when we determine what more power and speed does Bitcoin have as we are hovering ever so close to 20K. It just feels like any moment here, Bitcoin has an opportunity, to just blast through 20K because it doesn't give an F, right? We have also expended, and this is something I've been watching too, because there was always that chance, right, that this move is a wave 3 move, right, of a much larger pattern where this was wave 1, this was 2, which worked because we put in a higher low than the beginning of our 1, and we are in a 3 here that so far has extended over 1.5%, over 1.5 times, or 150% of our 2019 bull market, as a whole. Now let's say hypothetically this was our wave 3 extension top here. And we can even go a little higher. We can basically say, 21K, which is the 1618 extension, might be even a more ideal area to stop out. But how low can we go and still keep this overall structure more or less intact? Well, when we talk about not violating Elliott rules, the biggest thing about, you don't want to retrace a wave 4 below the top of wave 1. But we're in a leverage market. There are wicks, okay? There are price movements that happen outside the standard deviation, the last FOMO wick on the upside and, of course, on the downside. And because of that, we have a situation here where the 4 retrace could basically be a very bullish, just holding against the very top here, which would be around the 14K area, but can still potentially go as low as the $10,000 area and still hold the overall, structure of a 5-wave, cycle intact here. Okay, that's even if we go even higher there to like 21 there. Okay, we know where our potential wave 1, where it ended from a wick standpoint on the monthly, but also where it really closed out was around 11K area or so. We also know that our wave 2 here was pretty long. This was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months. Okay, this could be the short one, this could be the long one, or it's very possible that the wave 4 correction could be, from a time perspective, significantly shorter than how long it took us here to come all the way back down. Because most of the time, you'll do a long and a short on your 2 and your 4 there. So we're basically seeing that as a possibility, and that still puts all these lower prices potentially in play on any kind of a pullback, and yet still keeps the entire significantly bullish structure in play of a Bitcoin, way above where we currently are now. So those are all your best scenarios. But remember, Bitcoin's bullishness in December here, for a moment, we were at 19.6, right? And then when the month ended, we were at 14K. Not to say that this candle here looked incredible the day we were at 19.6, like December 7th or something. But once again, we do find ourselves, as I said earlier in the show, with a closed, candle like this on the monthly with no wick. So once again, extremely unprecedented. From the RSI indicators and everything, there's nothing about this that says there isn't running room, right? On balance volume has always had this bearish divergence, but it's the monthly. It's hard to say what really accurate that is there. Actually, the weekly is the most bullish looking, I believe. There it is. Okay, I mean, dang, that's a bullish chart there, right? But the daily looks a little different, right? The daily, we were actually putting in that lower high. Okay, now we've done that before in this move here, where we did it when we put lower high here and a higher high in price, and the OBV caught up. We've also found that resistance now acting as support. That's a good sign there too. But we have to keep in mind, at some point, there's potential to potentially do something like this. And we can't ignore this W here on the top of our OBV here. Two things we have to kind of keep in the back of our head. It's still bullish. We still have a little divergence there, and we've made up for that in the past. But we'll see how this, because right now the OBV is really the only thing that we need to show us is going to get higher. We also have the divergence here in our RSI. We're putting in this lower RSI profile, even though we had a very nice spike up from 55 back to 70. And 70 is obviously a very bullish and healthy RSI, strong, right? But we're still putting in these lower RSI patterns. But We're back testing our MACD. It's not a back test. It's Ched's always calls me out on this. It's a throwback. It's a throwback, I think. Uh, but still on the daily, still putting in the negative histograms here. We're still looking for our oscillators to kind of catch up with our price action here. Our price action is more bullish than our oscillators on the daily chart are kind of showing us right now. I do kind of find that somewhat interesting. Go to a lower time frame here, the 4-hour chart. You can see we are able to regain here, and now we just want to see if we can hold this area, right? This was our resistance. Now we're finding that support, like literally finding that support, right? There was our resistance. We've regained it, and frankly, 19.4, 19.5, this is a place we want to continue to hold that support and see how much higher we can go. U.S. equity markets today, they weren't that bad. Mixed, a little on the downside. The market is extremely frothy. I do trading on the OTC exchanges. I've never seen it, not never, I've rarely seen it as bullish as it was today. The money flow was unreal. So we are approaching a euphoric phase, I feel, across all markets right now. Maybe except gold. And that's interesting to me. I'm almost feeling like gold is going to, gold is really the thing that's going to turn everything around. And the reason I say that is because gold has been kind of, there it is, falling, right? It's been the most bearish thing. Everything else, oil, stocks, rally, but gold keeps falling. Once this stops falling, I think that's going to be a very interesting turning point in the market. I think that's going to be where this risk on begins to change. And I tweeted this about this resistance, blow through it. There's the support, 17,777. Okay, we got as low as 17,654, right there. And when this turns around, the market sentiment, I think, is going to change a lot. Okay, this is a very risk-off trade here. Or sorry, this is a risk-on in terms of equities, right? Okay, we're going to dump our gold, going back to stocks. Okay, we don't need to look at it as a hedge or as a safety net. All good. But this is what I'm going to be watching here. If gold pops, if gold really starts to pop and we get back over 1,800 with a nice move, I'll be very curious to see how the other markets react. And if we do lose that divergence that we're clearly seeing with gold. Last thing I want to say about Bitcoin dominance, we're still in the remix zone, okay, where select alts can still basically find their mojo and move. But overall, money flow is consistent through Bitcoin and through altcoins. And until we see this dominance rising above 64, that can mean one of two things. Bitcoin's pumping hard and alts haven't caught up yet, or Bitcoin's dumping hard. But if Bitcoin dumps hard like it did this last time, right, we saw it kind of spike quickly, right, and then slowly fade. So we're still seeing buy the dip opportunities and people feeling comfortable that still across the entire crypto market. Until that changes, until we get a big deviation, we go below 60, and that means all coins are really on a ripper, or we get back above 64, 65, and Bitcoin and what it's doing is pivotal then to the overall market. Until we see either of those, we're kind of stuck in the remix there. So lastly, look at Bitcoin here. A little tighter time frame. Again, still tight, still holding this area of support. We want it to hold. It's very early in the day. We don't know how equity is going to open tomorrow. Lots happening. Very exciting times. Until next time, guys, Big Chonis, please hit that thumbs up button. Please follow me on Twitter. Love your support. Talk to you soon. Peace.